Have you ever agreed to do something you didn't want to, just to avoid feeling guilty? Felt an unexplainable urge to buy a product you just saw an ad for? You might have been a target of manipulation without even realizing it. It's a hidden force in our daily lives, a dark art that shapes our decisions from the shadows. What if you could not only see these strings, but also learn to pull them yourself, ethically? In his book, The Art of Manipulation, Wladislaw Jachtchenko pulls back the curtain on these powerful psychological techniques, and today, we're going to learn how to master them. Welcome back to DreamAIReview. In this video, we're rediving deep into the art of manipulation, the dark side behind every saying by Wladislaw Jachtchenko. This isn't just another book about mind games. It's a practical guide to understanding the psychology of influence that is constantly at play around us. Whether it's in a high-stakes negotiation at work, a casual conversation with a friend, or the ads you scroll past online, manipulation is everywhere. This book is crucial in today's world because it doesn't just teach you to defend yourself against negative influence. It also shows you how to use these same principles as a powerful tool for positive persuasion, helping you achieve your goals without harming anyone. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear roadmap to becoming a more aware, persuasive, and powerful communicator. First, let's confront the elephant in the room. Is manipulation inherently evil? The word itself often conjures images of deceit and control, and for good reason. We've all heard stories of people being tricked or coerced into situations that hurt them. However, Jachtchenko argues that manipulation is simply a tool, and like any tool, its morality depends entirely on the user's intent. The book makes a brilliant distinction between black and white manipulation. For instance, when a leader uses a powerful, emotionally charged speech to ignite a team's passion and drive them toward a common goal, that's a form of positive or white manipulation. They are intentionally influencing emotions to inspire action and achieve a collective good. It creates a win-win scenario. On the other hand, consider a situation where a family member constantly brings up past mistakes to make you feel guilty, pressuring you into lending them money you can't afford to give. This is a classic example of negative or black manipulation. It preys on your emotions, creates a sense of obligation, and serves only the manipulator's interests, often at your expense. Jachtchenko's core message is not to fear or avoid manipulation, but to understand its constant presence in our lives. The real question isn't whether it exists, it's about how we choose to use it and how we react when it's used on us. Recognizing this duality is the first step toward mastering the art of influence, turning a potential threat into a powerful asset for ethical communication and self-protection. The book equips you with a formidable arsenal of 10 core skills and 37 specific techniques to navigate the complex world of human influence. These aren't abstract theories. They're concrete methods you can observe and apply. Let's break down a few of the most powerful ones. The first is emotional manipulation. This is perhaps the most common and potent technique. It involves strategically triggering emotions like guilt, anxiety, or even flattery to steer someone's behavior. Imagine a colleague who starts by showering you with praise about how reliable and brilliant you are, only to follow up with a request to take on their difficult part of a project right before a deadline. They are using flattery to lower your defenses and make it harder for you to say no. The action step here is to practice emotional awareness. When you feel a sudden, strong emotion during a conversation, especially guilt or an inflated sense of pride, pause. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this way right now?
You're done.
Is this emotion being used to influence my decision? By creating this mental gap, you separate the emotion from the request, allowing you to make a more logical and less coerced choice. Next, we have verbal manipulation. This technique is about using language with surgical precision to guide someone's thoughts in a specific direction. This isn't just about what is said, but how it's said. It can involve using loaded words, asking leading questions, or framing a situation to make one option seem obviously superior. For example, in a team meeting, instead of asking, "What do you think of my idea?" a manipulator might ask, "We all agree that we need a more innovative solution, right? So, what's the best way to implement my plan?" This frames their plan as the only innovative solution and pressures others into agreement. Your action step is to become an active listener. Don't just hear the words. Analyze the framing. When presented with a choice, mentally rephrase the question in a neutral way. Instead of accepting their premise, ask clarifying questions like, could we explore other innovative solutions as well? This breaks their verbal frame and opens the floor for a more balanced discussion. A third, and surprisingly powerful technique is manipulation through silence. In a world saturated with noise, silence can be incredibly loud. When used intentionally in a negotiation or a difficult conversation, an extended pause can create immense psychological pressure. The other person often feels an overwhelming need to fill the void, and in their haste, it might reveal information they intended to keep secret or concede a point just to break the tension. Imagine you're negotiating a salary. After you state your desired number, your potential boss just sits there, looking at you silently. The discomfort might tempt you to immediately lower your offer or justify it defensively. The action step is to embrace the silence. When someone uses this on you, don't rush to speak. Match their silence. Take a calm sip of water. Use the time to gather your own thoughts. By showing that you are comfortable with the pause, you neutralize its power and shift the pressure back onto them. You demonstrate confidence and control, turning their own weapon against them. Now that we understand some of the core techniques, let's zoom in on how these psychological tactics appear in our everyday lives. The book excels at making you a detective of human behavior, revealing the subtle manipulation hidden in plain sight. Consider the modern workplace. It's a breeding ground for sophisticated influence tactics. We've already touched on the colleague who uses flattery to offload work, but it goes deeper. A manager might use social status manipulation by casually mentioning their connections to senior leadership right before assigning you an undesirable weekend shift, subtly implying that your compliance is tied to your career progression. Or think about meetings where one person consistently interrupts others, using dominance to control the conversation and discredit opposing views. Recognizing these patterns is your first line of defense. When you see them, you can mentally label the tactic. That's an appeal to authority, or that's an interruption tactic, which instantly reduces its emotional impact on you. This awareness empowers you to respond strategically instead of reacting emotionally. In our personal relationships, manipulation often wears the mask of love and concern. A partner might use guilt by saying, if you really loved me, you wouldn't go out with your friends tonight. This is a classic form of emotional blackmail. A relative might use your sense of family duty to demand favors or compliance with their wishes, making you feel selfish if you refuse. The book teaches you that recognizing this doesn't mean the person is evil. It simply means they are using a learned and often unhealthy communication strategy to get what they want. By identifying the tactic, you can address the underlying issue without getting trapped in the emotional web. You can respond by saying, I understand you want to spend time together, and I love you, but my friendships are also important to me. Let's find another time that works for both of us. Finally, look at the world of sales and advertising. Brands are masters of manipulation, and one of their favorite tools is FOMO, or the fear of missing out. Limited time offer, only 3 left in stock, 24-hour flash sale. These messages are designed to create a sense of urgency and anxiety, short-circuiting your rational decision-making process. They manipulate you into believing that if you don't buy immediately, you will suffer a loss. This triggers a primal fear that overrides logical considerations like whether you actually need the product or can afford it. Once you understand that FOMO is a manufactured psychological trigger, you can see these ads for what they are. You can take a step back, close the browser tab, and ask yourself, will my life truly be worse tomorrow if I don't buy this today? More often than not, the answer is no. This simple act of questioning breaks the spell of manipulation and returns control over your wallet back to you. So, let's bring it all together. The powerful lesson from the art of manipulation is that influence is a fundamental part of human interaction, a tool that can be used for good or ill. The first and most crucial action is to cultivate awareness. Start paying attention to the emotional undercurrents in your conversations at work, with family, and even with yourself. The second action is to label the tactics you observe. When a colleague uses flattery or a brand uses FOMO, mentally name it. This act of identification instantly gives you a sense of control. Finally, practice your response. When you feel pressured by silence, embrace it. When faced with a leading question, reframe it. Remember, this is a skill. You won't become a master overnight. Focus on making small, steady progress, not on achieving perfection. Each time you recognize and neutralize a manipulative attempt, you are building your psychological armor and becoming a more powerful, confident communicator. If you found this breakdown helpful, give this video a like. I'm curious, which manipulative technique have you noticed most in your own life? Share your experience in the comments below. For more practical insights from the world's most impactful books, make sure to subscribe to DreamAIReview.